We'll start the installation by going over the contents of the diverter bag. First, you have the diverter itself, and then a variety of adapter pieces in case the diverter doesn't attach directly to your faucet. A couple of spare O-rings, the two hose clamps, which we'll show you how to use in a minute when we install the hoses, and a couple of screws and anchors in case you want to install your ionizer on the wall. Let's install the diverter first by coming to the faucet and removing the aerator. Generally, you should be able to do this with your fingers, but if you can't loosen it up, start with the pliers until you can finger loosen it. We'll try to screw the diverter directly to your faucet, and you can see in this case that it doesn't attach. So we'll find the appropriate adapter piece and we'll screw that on. Just hand tight is usually good enough, but those threads are sharp, so I like to use a little cloth to tighten that up. And then the diverter should screw right into that adapter. And again, hand tight is usually just fine. If you find that your diverter leaks, you may want to use a few wraps of Teflon plumber's tape, which is available for $1 or so at any good hardware store. Next, we'll come over to the machine and install the two hoses to the bottom. We'll begin by turning the ionizer on its side. Notice that I have a towel here to protect the back of the ionizer. We'll begin by installing the tap water inlet hose to the tap water inlet port. First, we'll remove the black rubber cap, and then we'll attach the white hose to the port. Before we do that, we'll want to attach the hose clamp to the white hose so that we can slide it over the port. You'll notice that I've installed the clamp on the hose. Do this before you install the hose onto the port, and then once the hose is firmly on the port, position the clamp over the port. So to install it, you just simply slip it over, and a lot of times you'll find that that's fairly difficult. So we soak the end in warm water for about 10 to 15 seconds, and that usually makes a difference. Make sure to brace the port with your free hand and make sure that the hose goes all the way onto the port so that you have a nice secure connection. Next, we'll install the acidic water outlet port. And again, we'll begin by removing the little rubber black cap. And you'll notice again that I've installed the little brass clamp. This one goes on fairly easy. Make sure that you push that hose all the way to the end of the port. You'll notice I've used a pair of pliers to position the small brass compression clamp over the port. Do this with both the white and the gray hose. Next, we'll attach the white tap water inlet port to the diverter. You'll want to find a convenient place to position your ionizer. In this case, we're on the right side of the sink. Then we'll install the white tap water inlet port to your diverter. First thing you'll want to do is approximate the length of white hose that you'll need to connect to the diverter. And then you'll want to add a little bit extra for slack in case you have to reposition your ionizer. You can cut the white hose using a sharp pair of scissors or a sharp knife, making sure to make a nice clean cut. This is important so that your machine will not leak at the fittings. Next, we'll want to attach the white hose to the diverter. We'll swivel the diverter so that the lever is at the back of the faucet and the compression nut is on the front. We'll remove the small compression nut, slide the compression nut over the white hose, attach the white hose to the nipple on the diverter, and reattach the compression nut. Again, hand tight should be just fine. Lastly, we'll position the gray hose into the sink, and you can trim that to any length you want that's convenient for you. It's that simple. Your ionizer is now installed and ready for use. Now that your ionizer is all connected to the faucet and the diverter, the last thing we have to do is power it up. You'll notice the plug has 3 prongs, and you'll want to use an appropriate outlet. Simply plug it in, and using the on-off power switch on the back, turn it on. When you do this, you'll notice the machine cycles through some numbers on the digital filter life counter. You'll hear a tune, and then the power LED will illuminate red.